Alright everybody, we're back. It's time to do the cam swap here on the 1LE. If you have a decent understanding of mechanical skills and mechanical knowledge, you can probably do this too in your garage. If you don't, it's okay. You don't have to attempt any of this. This is just me a tips and trick video. Anything you see in this video can mess your motor up if done incorrectly, but I'm going to give you some tips to try to get you guys to be able to do this in your garage, save you some money. So pretty much I'm going to go over what we're going to have to remove to get to the cam for the LS3. First things first, you're going to want to unhook the battery. We already did that. 10mm 5th gen Camaros. Mine is in the trunk under the spare. 6 gens, I think it's in the trunk passenger rear wheel well, something like that. So once that's done, I do have the car on jack stands. One jack stand, one ramp. We will need to access some components here on the bottom side of the radiator. Maybe some other stuff on the bottom, so jacking it up will help. So moving on to the actual taking off portion here. Intake's gonna have to come off. I'm gonna pull the throttle body too. We're gonna take the serpentine belt off here. Once we do that, drain the radiator. Fan's gonna come up. Radiator's gonna come up. We're leaving the condenser in there. We're leaving the bumper on. Once we're at that step, water pump's off. After the water pump, we're gonna be at the crank. You're gonna need a balancer puller to pull that off. Once we pull the crank or the harmonic balancer off, we get the water pump off. We're gonna be at the front timing cover. That comes off. Then you're pretty much at the camshaft. You're gonna have your cam sprocket and crank sprocket, cam retaining plate. Other than that, it's pretty much it that you have to take off. If I'm missing something, I will mention it. We will have to change the valve springs, push rods. I'm not doing lifters. This is an LS3. This is like the most basic thing. No VVT, no AFM, no DOD. You don't have to remove the intake. You don't have to remove the heads. Automatic versions like the L99, L83, I'm almost positive you're gonna have to remove everything to the short block because you gotta change the lifters. Same thing with the Gen 5 LT platforms. Heads and intake have to come off. So it's pretty messy in here. But when you do this, the two main things you're gonna need is valve spring compressor and harmonic balancer crankshaft pulley remover. There's a couple different types of the crankshaft puller. When we did the Corvette, it was like a push in and you twist it. I'm grabbing the puller. You see how the teeth are in there? You push it in there and you twist it behind the crank, back it off. Some of them will be threaded. You'll have to thread some like bolts in there. It's all different. When we get to that point, we'll see. But this valve spring compressor, pretty much basic set of hand tools. You can do this in your garage. So we're gonna go ahead and start removing intake here, and we'll get onto that. First step, I'm gonna go ahead and take the throttle body off too for a little bit more clearance, but I just loosened up the hose clamp here. Some boxes will be bolted down here, somewhere. You just have to look. Mine is not. Mass airflow sensor. It's a pull tab. Pull it back, press in, pull that out. you will have some kind of hose coming into your intake somewhere around here for, I think, PCB. So now that that's out, we'll go ahead and pull that out. Next thing I'm gonna do, pull the throttle body off. It's a normal, doesn't have to be very dirty. Just clean it up before you put it back on. You know, it's pretty black. So for this, I believe these are 10mm bolts. 10mm is gonna be 1, 2, be one right here for 3 and 4. There's going to be a clip right here. It's going to be a push tab. Oh, it's in the front. Pull it out. Move those 4 10mm bolts. Throttle body comes off. So after the throttle body, we went ahead and removed the main drive serpentine belt. These are different too for this style right here. Stick you a 15mm ratchet, pull down. It has enough to be able to slide the belt off. Some of them, however, some of them will have just a socket or a space for you to stick the 3/8 adapter or 3/8 drive. Just stick it in there, be on like the back side or even below it. Some of them are like that too, so just be aware of that. So after we did the serpentine belt, we're going to go ahead and move on. The next step will be draining the radiator, but I am going to go ahead and remove my oil catch can because it is up here on my oil fill, and it's connected right here to the fans, which is going to have to come off to separate the fan from the radiator. So take this off. If you have this, it's probably just going to be one bolt, not another bolt over here. We may have to take these lines off, I'm not sure yet. Catch can is off. 10mm bolt here. I kind of just pulled it all the way off. It slides into here to your intake. This had nothing on it, it was just kind of slid on, so I just slid this off, just kind of twisted that off of there. So there's that. Now we're going to get on to draining the radiator. That is going to be done from the bottom, and I will show you guys that down there. Okay, we are under the car. Here's the drain plug. If it focuses, it's gonna look like a little butterfly twisty, a little butterfly twist nut. They can be on the over here, they can be on the passenger side, wherever. There's a piece of plastic up there, but we're gonna go ahead and twist that, drain all the fluid out. You want you a nice little container here for your fluid here. Knocking over my light. I doubt it's gonna be. Oh my god, it was. It should start dripping. You can take that plug most of the way out, but I'm gonna go ahead and let it drain some like that so it's not gonna hit in my face and my eyes. Poisonous, don't drink it. So once we get that drained out, we're gonna see back up top. We're gonna start taking the fans out. Okie dokie, we're back after about 20 minutes of letting that drain. 2 10mm bolts, one here, one here. There's nothing underneath. You get your fan clip right here, harness. I've got it hanging up here. It's a push right here, pulls out the back. And then once you have that, there's like a little center clip here. Just kind of pinch that in, pull the fans out. You're gonna need to remove this after the radiator's drained. Once you can pull this hose off, the fan should just come right up. So let's go ahead and get that hose out of there. pull the fans up. Okay, so we got the fans out. It was real tight right here. This and condenser wire coming out of here, really tight on the fans. I was able to finagle it and get it to come up, go down here, and I pulled it up on this side over here. So it's gonna be real tight here. You can't really move this out of the way. So you're gonna have to very carefully angle it out. It should come right up. Now we're going to take all the radiator hoses off. Bam. We don't really have to take these off. We can just take them off down there. One there. And then two, which I'm assuming probably transmission cooler lines. And then I think that's it. So once we get those out, we'll pull the radiator up. So let me go ahead and get these out, and catch you in the next step. I'm gonna make this step for anybody who has not ever removed a radiator hose. They got like metal clamps, put a pair of pliers on them, and you're just going to keep working them off like that. The spring mechanism on my vice grips here are missing, so I'm having to like manually open them. It's kind of annoying. So but that's the process of that. Just clamp that down and just work it back until you can slide the hose off of the radiator. Be warned that there could be coolant in these lower lines, so be prepared to get soaked here. Alrighty, so we've got pretty much all the heater hoses out. I've got this last. I'm guessing these are transmission cooler lines. This is probably metric, but a 7/8 is working just fine on this. Sticky ratchet on there. Pretty much just loosen it out. Try to do this whole thing here. Somehow, surprisingly, going very well. Holding the phone and loosening this. Let's see if it's loose enough here. It is. I'm gonna go ahead and slide my bucket over of my it's gonna back out enough where you should be able to pop it off this tab here, pull it out. Feels like it is, so I'm gonna go ahead and push up on it. Pushed up on it, and it has already come out. So there you go. That's how you remove those cooler lines. They do have washers and O-rings. Be sure to check those when you put them back in. If the O-rings are slightly messed up, you will leak transmission fluid. So always check those O-rings before you put them back in. Make sure there's no cracking or anything. Now we're gonna get the rest of it from the top. So we'll see you there. All right, so we got the radiator out. Condenser should just be able to lay down here. Shouldn't be in the way of anything here. Should be able to have plenty of clearance. So when you go to get it out, the condenser here has some legs at the bottom. Stabbed in there and there. All you gotta do is just kind of pick up on the condenser and it'll separate. Again, kind of tight over here on the condenser line. So snake it up on the driver's or passenger side. Then we're kind of at a stopping point for the night, so we'll pick up back tomorrow. So really quick update video. Just removed both the coil pack mounts. You don't have to disconnect the coil packs. Wasn't paying attention. You do have to just connect this one right here. It runs the whole coil pack harness. I'll show you what I mean. You don't have to remove them all. On other cars you had to, because they weren't built like this. So you don't even have to pull these out. Just unhook this one, pull your studs out, bada bing, bada boom, it's out. See you guys back tomorrow. Okie dokie, we are back today. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the water pump here. You're gonna have to disconnect any hoses connected to the water pump. And then there should be 6 bolts. They should be 10 millimeter. Check. Yeah, 10 millimeter. So 1, 2, 3. Over here on this side. 1. Way back in here. 2 is here. 3 is there. Those 6 bolts. These 3 and these 3. Once these 6 are out, hoses are off, water pump should just come forward. You might have to wiggle it off, but it should come out. Let's go ahead and get that out of there. Alright, we got the water pump off. The old gaskets are still there. I had to remove that idler pulley. It was like right in front of one of the bolts for the water pump. Now, crankshaft, bolt. My impact here is a 15/16. I'm almost positive this will not break this loose. And this is like a XR with a huge battery, so I doubt it's going to break it loose. If it doesn't, you're going to need some kind of blowtorch. If you have a really good air impact or something, it'd probably break it loose, but if not, you're gonna need like a torch of some kind, and you're gonna have to heat the bolt up to try to take some of the, to make it like loose. So I'm gonna try. If it does not come out, we're gonna get the torchy melty out. And just like that, guys, it literally came right out on the first try. No heat on this one, so you may need some heat on yours. I'm using a 15/16 socket, just a DeWalt XR, Milwaukee fuel, some kind of big battery. It's probably all you need to get that out. It's going to be very hard to break this with a pry bar or a breaker bar ratchet. So impact or something there is going to be very helpful. Alright, so we're removing the crank here. If you see how we're going to do this is, we're going to use this handy dandy crank puller. We're going to stick it in there and turn it and lock it behind the balancer. We're going to tighten down on this and it's going to pull the balancer off. Some of these are different, some of them are threaded in. You'll just have to look at what you got. So they're all kind of different. So we're going to go ahead and set this up on there and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. Okay guys, I think I got the crank puller on there right. Got the teeth behind the balancer there. You can kind of see it on the back side there. And got it centered there. Pretty much we're just going to tighten down this bolt. It's going to pull the balancer off. It's also going to pull your, I guess this is a AC condenser. Yeah, definitely AC condenser or compressor. It's going to pull this belt off with it. That's going to be a little trick there. When you put it back on, you're going to have to slide this on kind of all at the same time. We'll show that on the reassemble process. But we're going to go ahead and tighten this down. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's like a 5/8. So get the balancer off and I'll show you what it looks like. All Alrighty guys, we got the balancer off. Now, those of you who don't know, it's your front timing cover. Your cam is literally right behind this plate. We're gonna get that off here in a second, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the valve covers off and the rocker assemblies and the push rods out. That'll be the next step. It's gonna be, after you get the coil packs off, it's gonna be these bolts here. Pretty small. I'll go ahead and get them off. I'll tell you guys what size they are once I get them off. All right, so we got both valve covers off. I went ahead and wiped down the edges here, just in case no dirt falls in there. These are your rockers. It's your rocker stand. We gotta take these off next. I will try to leave them just on there and just take the whole stand out as an assembly. I don't know if I said this, but the bolts right here that are holding on the valve cover are also 5/16. I think it's equivalent to an 8, but rockers are also 5/16 here. But some of these will come off easier, some will be tight. They might have spring pressure, you'll know they'll be tight. Just work with it. So we're gonna go ahead and get both sides off, and then we'll be on to the next thing. All right, so we got both sets of rockers out. I already did the push rods on that side. I've done all of them except these front two here. This will be the next step. So just grab the push rod. You want to give it a little wiggle just in case the lifter's stuck to it. You don't want to have to be chasing down pulling off your cylinder head if you don't have to. So you get your little push rods out. We really don't need them. You should replace those with chromoly or something different when you go do a cam swap. So I think now that we got that off, we're gonna go ahead and work on getting this front timing cover off. We're gonna do the cam swap, and then once we get the new cam in, everything going, we'll do the valve springs. So stay tuned. I'll come back, take a little break, and we're gonna take the front timing cover off. We're back after our little break here. Let's go get the timing cover off. I went ahead and removed this wire here. It's a little bracket, 10mm bolt here, 10mm bolt there. It's a little pull tab, slides off. This is out of the way. Front timing cover is going to have 10mm bolts. I'm going to try to show them to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's going to be 2 underneath. One's right here from the bottom side of the oil pan. You can get it from the bottom, or you can use a wrench to loosen it here. So that's what is that, 5. So the other one on the bottom is here, 6. There's one here for 7, 8, 9, and 10 is right here. So there you go. There's all 10 bolts there. Once you loosen all 10 of those up and you get that wire harness out of the way, it's going to be kind of tight. You may have to stick like a screwdriver behind here and just work it off. Ls3 version should not have anything in here. The Gen 5 LT guys, I'm not sure about the automatic L99, L83 guys, but there was a sensor right here on my 6th gen Camaro. So be careful if you have VVT and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same. So when you go to take it off, be very careful you don't break this sensor here if you have it. So just be careful. Quick short update. One of the bolts down there for the timing cover was literally right behind, I guess, the alternator bracket. So I had to loosen up the bolt here, and this is like a stud here. You should be able to pull the alternator enough forward to not take it out, and just get to the back side of the nut with the 10mm wrench. They're these really long bolts. I want to say like 15mm, something like that. So that's just a quick update. Now I think we're gonna have to remove the oil pump to be able to get the car in time. This is like the most important step. So oil pump, bolt here, 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 here. There is a pickup tube down here. We're gonna have to get to that somehow. So we're gonna see what we can do there. Hey everyone, quick update. When I'm editing the video for the cam swap, which I'm sorry it's taken so long, I've been busy, it dawned on me that I did not record taking the camshaft out of the car for some reason. So I'm going to go over real quick the best way to do it because in the reinstall video you will see what I'm talking about. I'm going to try to explain it in this because you're going to need to know this. I'm going to put some pictures up somewhere on the screen. So you need to have the car at top dead center in time. To get it there, you're going to have to remove the spark plug so you don't build compression in the cylinder. You have to put the crank bolt in, and you're going to have to just roll the motor over until the timing indicator marks are lined up. You will have a timing indicator mark on the cam sprocket and the crank sprocket. The cam sprocket will probably look like an arrow or some kind of line or dash, and the crank sprocket will have like a dot. These, when it's in time and top dead center, cam sprocket will point at 6 o'clock, crank sprocket will point at 12 o'clock. They need to be perfectly matched. So when you take that off, it'll stay like that. When you put it back on, it's going to be the same way. 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or whatever, vice versa. When you take that off behind your cam sprocket, the dowel pin on the camshaft will probably be somewhere around 3 o'clock. So when you go to do the reinstall, just as long as you keep that somewhere around 3 o'clock, should be a little bit easier on you stabbing the timing chain and the sprocket back up. Very, very important. The car needs to be in time when you put the cam in and you take it out. If it is not in time, you will mess the motor up. It's very possible to blow the motor. Something will go wrong. So just take your time, top dead center, remove the cam, install the cam, top dead center, and then go on. However you got to do it, if you've got to make like use a paint marker or something and just mark extra marks somewhere on the block or the chain, be safe. Don't rush this part. Just as long as you have it in time, you will be good. So I'm going to go ahead and post some pictures somewhere up in here, and I will see you guys back on the reinstall video after this one.